this is Erica Kane from Crypto Soul, and welcome back to the Erica Show. Today in episode 25, I'm here with Evan Shapiro, co-founder and CEO of Mina Protocol. Mina recently launched mainnet, so it is indeed an exciting time for the project. Evan, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
Thank you. It's a roller coaster ride for you these days, but thank you for being on the show and, talking to me. And just before we go in and dive in, could you, introduce you to the viewers?
Yeah, so I'm Evan. I'm the CEO and co-founder of O Labs. We've been incubating and building Mina Protocol for like 4 years now. Feels pretty short actually somehow, but I guess 4 years is also kind of a long time in a lot of ways. Yeah, especially in the crypto space. So we've been building and working on this thing for 4 years now. Recently launched finally, which is really exciting for us because it really feels like the first step in starting to do all the things like we kind of dreamed of when we were building the protocol. So it's a very exciting moment for us in the community, and we're thrilled.
Yeah. 4 years is definitely a long time coming, and especially in crypto, as you mentioned. So I definitely agree with what you're just feeling right now. I think a lot of people are curious about your background as well, because you just you're like I guess a star coming out of and coming out, and you're just kind of curious about what you've been up to before crypto. And could you tell us more about your crypto rabbit hole story as well?
Yeah, for sure. So my background's in like computer science and machine learning and robotics, and I was doing that during college. But we have to go back actually before that. I discovered crypto somehow like end of high school. This was like 2011.
What?
I know, right?
Wow.
So I was on like weird like less wrong like internet forums and stuff at the time. So somehow I picked up this was going on, and this was also like when I met Izzy, my co-founder at Open Labs. And we just like both spent a lot of time just like chatting about just like technology and random like topics like that, including crypto. Mm-hmm. And I think like at the time, like this whole period had like a big impression on me because I was kind of just like a nerdy kid who really liked to program a lot and like to dream about technology. And what seemed really cool about crypto was like you could have a bunch of code that you write, and then it kind of spins up like this new like social construct. Like I don't know if I had like the wherewithal like put it into those words at the time, but it was like, oh, you could like code something and then everyone kind of agrees what it is, and you could build these institutions out of code, and if you just write the code, everyone can start using it, and it's great. So fast forward to after Isaac and I both like graduated, separate colleges. We like synced back up. He was at the time doing a PhD at Berkeley at cryptography, and I was considering going to do a PhD in robotics and machine learning. But we both started like getting drawn back into like crypto, and like, wow, like maybe this is actually where we want to be, what we want to work on. We found the tech space technically so exciting, and the kind of engagement of crypto as like a social technology also just extremely fascinating. And I think at some point we both realized like, oh, this is like where we want to be, and we dove into building what became Mina on it to solve a lot of the issues we were seeing at the time around accessibility.
Wow, what a story. I think everyone has their own exciting crypto rabbit hole story, but yeah, you just go way back in 2011, which is super amazing. Wow, what a bright student that you were back in high school. That's amazing.
It's I just like really, I don't know. It's funny because like I didn't really get into it except for like the tech. I just like read white papers and stuff, which is like,
wow,
even more niche. I don't know.
Wow, you're all about the really tech. Yeah, I think that's what a lot of the people need in this space, and you're one of those, idols that people can look up to. That's amazing. I look on the website and I look everyone, Mina, I love the, design by the way, but Mina's main slogan is the world's lightest blockchain powered by participants. And I really like the expression where it said the blockchain is tweet-sized. And that was really cool to just understand it intuitively. How would you introduce Mina in your own words? What core problem is Mina trying to solve? Just that question.
Yeah, I guess like let me just like start with it's a cryptocurrency like based on zero knowledge proofs. Like their zero knowledge proofs are embedded extremely deeply into the protocol, to the point where this zero knowledge proof provides like a full proof of the whole blockchain, leading to this like easy accessibility problem. So solution, I guess, solution to the accessibility problem. The thing that the Mina does is makes it so that instead of having to download these very large blockchains that are hundreds of gigabytes that are basically out of reach of most users today to access in a permissionless way, it makes it so that Mina can be accessed in this permissionless, like few kilobytes, few tweets way. And what that does is well, first of all, it does a very important thing. It breaks the historical tension between decentralization and scale. So historically, there's been this kind of trade-off you have to make as a protocol between how much throughput you're going to have on chain and how decentralized you're going to be. And this is kind of a emergent like kind of necessity from initial blockchain design, because if you increase the throughput, you're going to put more transactions onto the chain. It's going to get larger and larger. They're like intimately linked in this way. If you want to crank throughput up, if you want to keep it small, you can have like Bitcoin. It's only a few hundred gigabytes and it's like reasonably decentralized. If you crank the throughput up, then you have like an EOS or a Tron, and like, well, it's not really decentralized anymore.
Right.
What we've done with Mina and zero knowledge proof is the zero knowledge proof kind of removes the need to have all that history around for every node. You instead have this proof of all of this data. And what that lets you do is it lets you decouple decentralization and scale from each other. So we can be in a place where the blockchain can be very, very cheaply accessed, only in this few kilobytes, and you can still think about, as there's more usage, increasing the scale without it threatening the decentralization property. I want to mention also the other thing that we get from embedding zero knowledge proof so deeply into the protocol is we can make a lot of these zero knowledge proof features like privacy and scale available to developers. And that's the snaps half of the project.
So the core elements, maybe we could break it down into small elements. Maybe that would kind of help describe a little bit better. So what would be the core elements that you would kind of like categorize Mina Protocol? Like what would it break into? Like snaps would be one, but anything
maybe
else?
We can like draw like a triangle. So like,
I know, right?
At the top of the triangle, we have like zero knowledge proofs that are like in the protocol, like in like the base of the protocol. And maybe like on one side of the triangle, we have like that the zero knowledge proof makes it so you can use the blockchain with very accessibly from like a phone or a browser. And on the other side, we have that a developer can use zero knowledge proofs when they're building their decentralized apps.
Yes, that's why it's called snaps, right? So could you describe what snaps are and why, I think one of the examples, could you explain what it enables to do? Can you describe one more time?
Yeah, sure. So snaps are like snark-powered dapps. So they're dapps that, so usually when you have a dapp, when you want to use some data, you are required to put all that data on chain. You're required to, you don't have access to privacy. You have to put all the computation on chain. And between this privacy and efficiency problem, it's pretty suboptimal compared to where we'd want to be with putting like all the world's data safely and securely on crypto in like a way that's actually scalable. What snaps let you do is snaps let you produce proofs off chain that then get verified on chain, and their constant time to verify on chain, independent of how big the computation was off chain. And what it also lets you do is it lets you use these proofs to put privacy on chain. So you can build a snap that deals with information that you probably should be private, and you can still have access to it on chain. So the example of this that we're working with a partner on right now, Teller, is putting proofs of people's credit scores on chain without revealing the credit scores themselves. So you can imagine that it'd be really great if crypto could like plug into like the existing financial ecosystem. This lets us do that without disclosing all that financial data publicly on chain, which would be a disaster. So it unlocks all that information for existing projects to use.
Right. That was exactly the point that I was curious about. Like you're opening up all kinds of data, private data, that would be really detrimental to a lot of the users, especially for applications, right? And I think that's where you guys come in, and I think this technology empowers that and prevents that such privacy, I guess, invasion from happening. So for some information, very sensitive information, right?
Yeah, you basically like we're also working on as part of this, the ability to put proofs of any web page onto the chain. So the way this actually works under the hood is that you go to like creditkarma.com, and it's like a US credit score provider, and you just like go there and you produce a proof that says my credit score fulfills this criteria on their webpage. There's no partnership with Credit Karma for this to work. It's just the Snap can verify things on their website because of some properties of HTTPS that, like, some technical details I won't go into, make it possible to move that on chain. So yes, basically, like, at the end of the day, we want to make it possible for, like, you know, you would put proofs of this private data on chain while only proving the fact that is relevant to the app you're interacting with, not the underlying data itself.
I see, I see. Yeah, it's really, I think, useful for a lot of the applications that are out there that will happen in the near future. So I was going to talk about teller finance, but you just mentioned it already. Yeah, I mean, I just saw the presentation in the summit, and how did the collaboration come about? You know, was it before, long time ago collaboration? Was it like a recent collaboration? Just curious about
that's a great question. You know, how did it happen? I probably need to thank like Emre, who like runs our BD for that. I don't remember how recently it came up, but like I think that it was a project we were just chatting with, and then when we brought up this possibility to put these proofs of credit score on chain, it seemed like a really natural collaboration. So we just kind of were like, oh, like this could be like, you know, a great start to what we're doing, and like, you know, they were excited about it too. So I'll have to ask Emre for like the like inner details, but like that's the basic for it.
I think the timing was great too when announcing, you know, teller finance. It was right at the, you know, I think a lot of the recent news just came like one by one at the same time. It was really amazing how it snowballed into this. Like, yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, it worked out very, very fortunately. Yeah.
Usually, I think usually it's like one after the other regarding like dapp, for example. Like when the applications come on board, usually they announce it after the mainnet, for example. But like it's kind of come all together simultaneously. So that was pretty impressive as well. And I just saw in news that Teller Finance announced like their first NFT sale as well. That was very interesting. So I guess it's kind of going in there. Yeah, they're building their own entire ecosystem as well. That's pretty impressive and kind of moving forward. Yeah. Do you know about this?
Yeah, they're very on the cutting edge. I like no, it seems cool. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And starting strong with teller finance, like how do you is there any plan to expand your ecosystem partners? Is there, you know, I'm sure you cannot really disclose a lot, but then are you also in talks with other, I guess, top dapps out there, or just curious what's happening?
I mean, nothing else like announced right now besides that one, but like, yeah, there's definitely other ones we're talking with, and we think in general, like from what we're seeing, that like this can be like kind of a general thing that'll be useful to a lot of companies building on DeFi, building on cryptocurrency. Because like there's just a lot of really obvious and useful things you get which you can just like plugging into like the internet privately with your existing crypto app. Because if we want like basically in terms of like making DeFi like not just like a thing that is just used for like, you know, rich people to have like super collateralized loans to like play with like, you know, other cryptocurrencies, want this to be real, like some of that data will have to come on chain, and that's I think a really big opportunity.
Yeah, definitely. I'm pretty sure that a lot of the future collaborations are coming on very soon. Going a little back, a while ago, you know, there was a huge turnaround for the project regarding the name change. There was a whole, you know, I know there was a whole issue for you and the team, and it was crazy times. And could you maybe like tell us more about what happened? It just didn't, you know, for the viewer, because I think a lot of people are curious, and about the rebranding process. I think, you know, I saw the entire process, but it must have been pretty painful and difficult for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, so we had our old name, Coda, which was claimed to overlap too closely with Corda. And at some point, like, you know, this was like a legal challenge put on us, and gave us the question of like, well, do we want to like invest a lot of time and resources into this, or what do we want to do? And we ended up coming away from it was that we really just wanted to build things and we didn't want to be distracted by something like that. And that we could even like, I mean, at the time, I thought this was like a crazy way of thinking about it that like was more of just us like consoling ourselves, but it's become absolutely true. Was like, this could be an opportunity to really think about who we are and who we want to be in the space and what we want our name to be to reflect that. So again, like at the time I was like, oh, like, you know, like it's a consolation prize, but that now I think like, wow, like I think really in some ways good. Because what we did was we set out on this whole process of like thinking about who we wanted to be as a brand, which like I know like could feel a little icky if like you're just like, you know, like it did to me anyway, at least initially, like as a tech person in the space, but like it becomes really important for like kind of in a compressed way explaining to the world who you are, and then you have to back it up. Obviously, you can't just like claim it and be done with it, but you know, showing to the world like what you stand for and who you want to be in the space. And it was a really fascinating exercise, like thinking through. Well, we realized like, you know, we're very technical as a project, all these recursive zero knowledge groups and stuff. We care a lot about the elegance of technology. We care a lot about our values. We care a lot about being something that supports regular people, not just as like a for-profit business. We wanted to build something that was empowering. And putting all these things together led us to create like this kind of like a goal around a more human brand, and eventually led us to the name Mina as like, but really backing into it.
How did you come up with the name though? Like it's the name is very I think Korean. I don't know. It's like a Korean name. It's really familiar to me. But how did you come up with the name? Just yeah, it's Mina. It's very cute, very pretty name.
Yeah. So thank you. So it had a couple. So I mean, really, the process was like, you know, painfully agonizing over long lists and thinking like, oh, like how well does this reflect our brand values? How does this sound to us? Can we like imagine kind of like, you know, putting this name on for like, you know, all time. And what stood out to us about Mina during this process was, well, one, just kind of like a freebie, like it has the word Min in the name. It's like, oh, Mina, Min, like you're small. The other one was that it sounded to us like very human, like as a name. In a way that felt very appealing to what we were trying to do, because we didn't want to do something that was just kind of like, oh, like for lack of a better phrase, like masculine techie, like in terms of like, you know, speed chain or whatever. We wanted something that was more human, and that was what led us down the road of seeing Mina as like the kind of name for us and for the project.
I mean, just FYI, this is maybe TML, but like a lot of the Korean coming members, they kind of like as a nickname, cute nickname, they call it Mina, like sister. Because Unni is like mean sister, and it's like Mina is a girl name in Korean, and so it's kind of like a Mina sister as like, you know, just a cute nickname for Mina. Yeah, so it's been kind of interesting to see like the response from the community, like, oh, it sounds like a name, actual like human name. So cool. Yeah, it's the MIN, and also for the summit name, I really liked it how you kind of incorporated Mina into the name Illuminate, and how just kind of like, wow, I was so impressed by the branding. I already, you know, I'm a conference person, so I really care about, you know, the naming and everything. It's just like, wow, this really fits together. And it's just, yeah, it's awed me so much. But yeah, oh wow, thanks for the story. Thank you so much for the story. And I really, one of the things that really stood out to me when I met you and the team is about that rebranding story, right? How you overcome and took it as an opportunity to really like step up and, you know, take charge. So I really thought that was really impressive. So that's how I kind of met deeply with the team and everything. So yeah, this what a wonderful story. Oh wow, this exceptional.
I'm like, you know, really happy to hear like the reception's been good on from at least the green community as well. It's awesome.
I'm assuming like there must be like memes coming out, like kind of like Mina as like a sister. There might be some characters coming out. I was assuming that might happen, and it might happen. So we should have a contest or something like that with the memes.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
Yeah, it'd be really fun. Yeah, and so there's many layer one projects out there. I mean, there's too many sometimes, and it's kind of like the, you know, some people call it, war of the layer ones, and it's just never ending. And I know that Mina is, differentiates from others, but maybe could you lay out some of the other differentiating factors that might, differ from other competing projects? I don't know if there are any competing projects, but if there is, then could you maybe kind of lay out what's, good about Mina and what empowers you? Yeah.
I'll lay out a few things. One I think is like, I'll lay out one thing that sets us apart from everyone, and then two things that I think like also set us apart, but in a way that'll bring us back together.
Okay.
The one, like the big one, is that we are very unique in the way our blockchain works. It's a very like unique model, and that the zero knowledge proof replaces all of these transactions. Like other cryptocurrencies all face this trade-off between decentralization and scale. If they say they don't, they're making technical trade-offs under the hood to decentralization to make it happen. It's so scary how that kind of works. But anyway, that's like the one big thing is like, definitely sets itself apart from all the other chains in that property of decentralization and scale being decoupled. The other two are kind of like taking advantage of like the snarks and that feature. One is that Mina, as a kind of a lightweight client that can fit into like your browser and your mobile phone, because you can access the whole chain in just a few kilobytes from those devices trustlessly with Mina. You can't do that on other chains.
Right.
And what we see that bringing to the space in general is we want to use that to kind of bring people onto crypto, both for Mina and for other chains as well. Like Mina can be this kind of bridge that gets you on chain in a trustless way. With that feature. The other one I want to mention is the snaps feature, and you're already seeing this, I think, with Teller Finance, but these applications aren't necessarily even being built on Mina. They're being built like on Ethereum, in Teller's case, but we can still bring this feature of privacy over to them through Mina's technology. Mm-hmm. So Mina is kind of like the snap-on where you don't have to like commit as a developer to like, oh, I'm going to like switch everything onto Mina, which would be like hard to convince like all the existing projects to do that. But you can imagine plugging in like a little bit of your tech into Mina and getting a feeling of what it's like and what you can gain from it through this privacy feature. So we mostly plan on like adding value to other chains through these. Like these are like pretty unique features right now. Snaps, because like Mina's architecture makes it easier for us to add those on in like a really compelling way right now, as well as to Cygnus, which is extremely unique to Mina. So that's mostly our aims right now, is just like see what we can add on to all these like, competing projects with this technology.
Competing projects. Like, okay, well, yeah, it's thanks for the answer. I think it might be seen, I mean, to me, it just seems like it's kind of too good to be true, right? And it's a lightweight, it could be on your mobile phone, and it's just, so I think a lot of participants can definitely, participate, and so it makes it much more easier. It is sometimes it can be seen as like, wow, this is like too good to be true, right? And is there, I'm just curious, is there like maybe a trade-off, not a trade-off, but like some kind of, risk or anything that could maybe associate with this type of technology? Just have a balanced view. Is there, just curious about the technology behind it. Yeah.
So in some sense, like there isn't, because it's like a new technology that makes up for these advantages, but let me explain what's happening a little bit under the hood that might help explain the trade-off a little bit in terms of like something is moving around, but it's moving around in a way that's a net positive, not in a way that like really trades up anything in particular. So usually when you have these cryptocurrencies, everyone on the network is looking at all the transactions that come in, they're verifying them, they're running the computations behind them. It's a smart chain. They are doing that task. And that task is expensive, but it's still way cheaper than checking the snark. So a snark, if let's say that we just like turned all those into snarks and we were like, okay, everyone's just going to be checking snarks now on chain. This would be pretty infeasible because snarks are still around 100x slower than doing a regular transaction. Be bad news. What we do instead with Mina is is that the benefit of these snarks is that not everyone has to produce them. We can distribute the production out to the network, and only one person has to produce them. Everyone else can verify. So we have on Mina a thing we call the snarketplace, which is a snark marketplace. People basically produce snarks for transactions that then get verified by other users of the chain. So we're kind of like trading this like relatively cheap computation that everyone does in a traditional currency with a relatively heavy computation that only one user has to do, and then everyone else gets access to it cheaply. Mm-hmm. So we're kind of moving things around in a way where as long as there's like at least 100 or so users on the chain, it's cheaper than what it would have been otherwise. But then you kind of get this infinite scalability because once the proof's produced, it's everyone can look at it very cheaply.
I see. Oh wow, thanks for that. Just kind of popped in my head. Wow, because I think a lot of projects have their own, I guess, competitiveness, I guess, and just kind of seems to me that wow, every project is so perfect. It just seems like when I hear, because I interview so many projects, right? And just wanted to see like how there might be trade-offs, but I guess it's not really a trade-off. It's basically, as you said, just kind of moving things around and kind of thanks for the explanation.
Yeah, one more trade-off to mention, I think, like
okay,
is if I have to throw another one out, is that like building snaps is going to be very new. It's like crazy new primitives that have never existed before for developers, but that also means we have to like make them usable. Mm-hmm. So we're excited, like this thing we're like excited to like engage with the community on, and like we'll get together, figure out how to make this like really easy. But that's like, kind of like with doing this new thing, we have to develop a new paradigm for programming it. And that's a trade-off in bringing these new features on for sure, is that.
Yeah, of course. In bringing, just piggyback on your question, on your answer, who would be the most excited about this technology? I mean, because on my perspective, I'm talking to a lot of developers and scholars and academics, right? And just curious, like, who would be the most enthusiastic about this type of technology and Mina? I mean, which market are you targeting in terms of building out your community? Just yeah.
I think like in terms of like, I guess like I've had two answers to this question. Like one of them is like maybe a selfish, but also more fun to me. I think like there's an obvious one, which is like DeFi, if it wants to like connect with the rest of finance, if it wants to like onboard like real users in a real way, it's going to have to start dealing with private information. So I think there's like a clear possible product market fit there. The other one that I'll mention is like, I'm very excited about the possibility of putting this kind of like bi-directional bridge applied to the internet, in terms of like a layer on top of the internet where you can start having information be trusted on chain and the chain be trusted on the internet. And what I mean by that is, let's say you're a developer, and this is like a really dumb example, but like maybe gets like kind of the idea. What I'm thinking here is like, I want to make an account that pays out 10 Mina to anyone who can prove that they have a tweet with the word pizza in it that has at least 10,000 likes. And with this technology that bridges HTTPS and Mina, we can do this in like a permissionless way. We can say like, you can write this app now as a developer. You can say like, someone sends me a proof that this tweet has the word pizza in it, I'll give them 10 Mina. And I think that's very exciting because you can start thinking about moving information on social websites onto the chain in a trusted way. And by trusted, I mean like trust the website. There's no thing between it's actually trusted.
Right.
You can imagine like, I'm going to verify headlines on the New York Times. I'm going to pull price feeds into my app in a way that's like trustless. And anyway, I think that's going to be very cool. So I'm excited people to kind of play out with these features.
Yeah. Thanks for giving the examples, because it just gives a more, I guess, specific, picture on like what it could do. Because like there are a lot of vague descriptions that people get access to regarding such projects, and it's really nice to just get a glimpse of what it can enable in terms of just giving real life examples. So thank you for that. So a lot of things happening for Mina, as we mentioned before, the mainnet launch. How's it going? Is it any updates on your end?
It's going well. It was like, kind of like holding my breath like the first week of like that release candidate before we were able to launch it. But it's been going well. So we have like this like alerts dashboard, which I like has like metrics of like how the network's doing. I'm like watching it all the time.
Yeah.
and it's performing well. It's performing very well actually. So like it's kind of like we were hoping after all of like the years, like couple of years of testing we were putting into it, that this would be the result, and it looks like so far that it is, and we're really like, it seems very stable, and that's like really awesome. We're seeing the kind of like performance, like the ratio of like blocks to slots, like this is like how frequently there are blocks in the network. This venture can optimally be around 75%. We've seen it hovering between like 70 and like 72%. So that's like really, really good.
Wow.
So it's performing about as well as it can. It's seems stable, and it's making blocks. It's doing snarks. It's awesome.
Wow, what a time for you, and just really seeing it live, and wow, after all these arduous times, it's been a moment for you for sure. And also there's a token sale coming up, and I don't know when this video is going to come out. It's going to come out pretty soon, but on CoinList, it's happening soon. Many people are excited. They're like waiting to get in, but how do you feel about that? The process is, I think it's pretty technical. It's very automatic, but then how do you feel about this whole entire thing? It's just a whirlwind for you too.
Yeah, read CoinList, I would say just like check out the CoinList page. It's going to happen early April, I think April 13th.
Yeah.
Please check our and also please just check our official channels for future announcements and stuff. Just please double check around an official source for things, but
sure.
Yeah, coming out soon. It's exciting.
Yeah.
No. I was gonna add just generally the question of I'm just very excited for we've kind of just been sitting there for so many years, just kind of building this thing and kind of dreaming about what we could do after its release. And now that we're here, there's just so much stuff that I am excited to for us to build. And yeah, it's a good moment to finally be there where we can start doing that.
Yeah, and I know that Mina has so many good friends, partnering projects, and recently in February, Mina and Ethereum Foundation announced a joint request for proposals and to enable recursive snark applications on the Ethereum blockchain. I saw the blog, and this was amazing. Can you explain more about this collaboration, how it happened, and how is this meaningful?
Yeah, so there's kind of two parts to this proposal. The first is we want to just get Mina's recursive zero knowledge proofs working with Ethereum on their chain. And the second part is we want to use it to build a bridge to Mina. So this is a very unique kind of thing we can build, this kind of bridge, because when you're trying to bridge two protocols, you have this question of how can they verify each other's transactions or consensus. There's not an elegant way to do it because, well, both of them are themselves really hard to verify. The concept of them verifying each other is it's just not gonna happen. At least in a full node way. But with Mina, that's kind of it's there by design that this proof is so small and cheap to verify. Once that proof is verifiable on Ethereum's chain, we kind of have a full trustless bridge between those two chains in a way that's not possible with existing protocols for doing that. And that's going to be extremely exciting because I think we can add a lot of value to Ethereum through people accessing Ethereum through this, permissionless, lightweight phone and browser node, as well as we can start bringing some of these privacy things directly onto Ethereum in a very tightly coupled way with the core Mina protocol. So you can almost think about it it's what if we were a layer 2, but we're actually a layer 1. So it's kind of the best of both worlds in a sense.
Yeah.
And yes, that's what we're building with that.
Yeah. It was super meaningful news, and I think it was on the Korean blog as well. So I think the Korean community saw it, was wow, this is so many things happening for Mina. Just popping news everywhere. And there was also news about the council, board members council. And, Josh is one of, I know Josh pretty well, and Jill Carlson, Tess, and, these amazing people come together for the council. How did this come together, and how will they help with the Mina team coming forward and moving forward with its ecosystem? Yeah,
so there are both there's a lot of strong reasons why we wanted a foundation. We kind of knew early on we wanted to finish the project. The main one outside of just kind of like regulatory is that there's like a real need, I think, for these projects that, like, if O of One was to try to serve this role of like ecosystem leader, I would argue it's very conflicted. Even as like CEO of O of One, like it's not a healthy dynamic if O of One is going to like lead the ecosystem, but we need some entity leading the ecosystem, and serving this role of coordinator and really facilitator of the community is how I'm thinking about it now. And once that became a kind of a given, we needed a foundation to like kind of organize this whole thing and act in a responsible, non-conflicted way with the community. It became clear that we needed a set of like really trusted, like knowledgeable people to help kind of lead that from like the provide advice to that entity. And it's still very early days for it. I think right now it like literally like it's just like the board, some advisors, some like simple operations. But I feel like we built like the right foundation for it to be like really to really be able to lead the project forward in a way that like O of One wouldn't have been able to. So no, I mean honestly, like I'm also to be a director on this thing, but and honestly, I'm so thrilled. Like it's like the best board I could have probably possibly imagined. It's like a great group of people, and provide like a really strong set of expertise between Josh with like having been executive director of the Zcash Foundation, Tess with like her extensive knowledge of being an engineering leader in the Cosmos space, and Jill with her just kind of like general crypto know-how and like extreme thoughtfulness when it comes to like thinking through designing and running these sorts of things. Anyway, I'm thrilled, and it's been a great. I think it's gonna be really good for the ecosystem.
Yeah, it is indeed a dream team. I was very happy to see that coming together. A lot of things happening this year already. It's only April, but what are some upcoming milestones for Mina in 2021? And maybe we could short term, but also can we maybe we can think a little long term. So maybe in 5 years, what do you imagine or provision that Mina could be in 5 years?
The main one I'm excited for this year is we're going to, so snaps are like sort of like done, like you could say they're done, they work, but we haven't tested them yet with the community and gotten the feedback we feel like we'll need for them to actually be like really good. Like I was kind of mentioning earlier, like it's a new set of primitives, which is like an amazing opportunity, but it's also like new, and we need to make it good somehow.
Sure.
So the somehow is that there's going to be an opportunity, or basically we want to work with the community to make this thing really good. We're thinking of doing some sort of like course or other kind of like community-led feedback event on snaps later this year, and that'll be like a really good opportunity for people that want to learn about this like crazy new stuff and get it on the ground floor of it to start getting involved, as well as helping like build out this vision of like user-controlled data and privacy for crypto. So I'm very excited for that. Like if you're listening and you want to check that out, like please follow us, and like there'll be more things on it soon. I think it's gonna be really awesome. The I would say like more like the 5-year range, we start getting into like more of like I think I hinted at earlier, just kind of this vision of Mina providing these permissionless access services to the crypto ecosystem on our phones and browsers, and Mina providing privacy features to all of our apps on crypto so we can use them in a safe way. I think that like if we can be in that place, I think crypto is going to like be able to take tremendous advantage of it, which will be like amazing, I think, for the space in general. And we can start thinking about crypto starting to go back and disrupt the original tech space that I think has a lot of problems in the areas we've been talking about right now. And if we can be in a place where we're starting to think about in 5 years, that would be like the dream. And that's where my head's at as I think about a lot of the stuff day to day.
Yeah, thanks for the vision. And I'm sure that, the past 4 years and, the 5 years will be amazing. And I just wish that it's going to really expand its network, ecosystem, and about the education factor. I think I'm very excited for that as well. And Mina has started to, develop solid communities in Asia as well. And, I I'm aware that, Mina is interested in Asia. Can you tell us more, maybe what partners you've been having in the region, how it's going, and maybe some things you're planning? I know it's COVID time still, but still, maybe after COVID, maybe anything that you're planning as well?
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, like, I definitely have to mention, like, for like Korea, like DSRV.
Yes.
Like,
Shout out.
Shout out to DSRV. Like, been a like great partner. We like, we're really, really happy every time we get to work with them on something. For sure. I think in general, we think of crypto as being not just technology, but also kind of like a social movement. And we think that doing something that's like led by engagement with by the users and by people is going to be like what will lead to like not only success, but having a positive impact. And we see like such excitement in Asia. We see like such kind of like, hunger to get involved in these technologies. It's like kind of a no-brainer that like that feels like it should be a really important part of the community we're building. And that, I think that like clearly it should be international, but like that means going out to where people are internationally and engaging them in what we're doing and bringing them onto the project and giving them opportunities to get involved. So that's really where we're at with it. I think like there will be a bunch more chances to like do things with the project, and for that you just gotta like follow along. There'll be things like getting involved with snaps, like I mentioned, and as a developer. There'll also be like kind of broader opportunities for people to like kind of just like let us know like what they think, just to be like engaged and involved in helping determine like the direction of Mina in terms of like helping support that direction. And yeah.
Yes, exciting things happening, and DSRV indeed has been one of the best partners for Mina, and I got to know Mina because of DSRV as well. So it's just a very nice ecosystem that it's building here. And well, I'm not in Korea right now, but yeah. So please come to Vietnam as well when you have a chance to later on. But for people who want to know more about Mina and who want to engage in Mina, as you mentioned before, how can they get involved, and what channels would they, should they be using as an entry barrier, entry like point to Mina?
Yes. I think like the two main ones I would say are Twitter. At Mina Protocol. That's where we have announcements, a lot of engagement there. And the other big one I would say is our Discord. So our Discord has is where most like kind of the casual conversations taking place, all of like kind of like the day-to-day nitty-gritty if you want to like see what that's like, as well as lots of language specific channels. So like whatever language like you're most comfortable in, there's a channel for it. There's like leaders within that channel that can like help like make sense of everything and like get you coordinated with the rest of the community. So there's also I think like lots of language specific groups elsewhere, but like I would say just like our Twitter and Discord are like the two places to get started. And
it is a big Discord group. It is a big Discord. I was in the channel. It's a very big group, and there's also a Korean channel, a Korean like group as well. So I'm in that group. But yeah, thank you so much for introducing Mina, sharing with us, and I really hope for the best about the token sale and everything, really exciting things coming up, and about Snap's education as well. Yeah, so excited for the near future, and hope for the best, and hope to see you in person after COVID time. So yeah, thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.